Hi everybody, welcome back. It's Justy. Just 2 days ago, Supernatural ended. We did it. We got to the end, the very last episode. And since then, as expected, I have seen a lot of opinions about the finale and overall ending arc of Supernatural, and everybody's weighing in and saying what they think and bashing it, praising it, whatever. And I decided that I needed to put my opinion out there, considering I literally just made a Supernatural video in which I talked about how important Supernatural was to me for a very long time and how I had just recently gotten into it in a big way. I needed my opinion to be known about the way this show ended. So that's what we're doing today. I will say this now, this video is not spoiler-free in any way. There's no way to skip ahead or avoid any spoilers. I am just going to be talking about the last few episodes pretty consistently. So if you don't want to be spoiled, get the heck out of here. I've now given the warning. It's your own fault if you're spoiled, not mine. Endings can be very, very tough. There are a lot of examples of TV shows that had huge cult followings that were insanely popular, with Lost being the easiest example I can think of. Everybody was obsessed with Lost. We all watched it almost religiously at that time, and I'm including myself in this. I at one point put tape on my fingers like Charlie and wore that for friggin' ever. We loved it. And then Lost let themselves go on for too long, lost control, and gave a absolutely horrific ending. And nobody talks about Lost anymore. That's it. It died. It's almost like it never existed in pulp culture, all because of one really poorly written ending that makes you not even really want to rewatch the show again. I tried once, I was like, yeah, I like the beginning, I like the characters, I love Charlie, I'll rewatch it. But I hit a certain point where I thought about what was going to be the ending and what I was putting in the work for, and I kind of just stopped. How I Met Your Mother is another example of this. Very much beloved for so long until the ending. Supernatural was not this type of show. I'm very happy to say. I will admit, for a little while I was worried. Obviously, I didn't necessarily think they would give us a horrific ending, but after so long and so many seasons, it is a hard thing to wrap up. And I was worried they'd do something that maybe didn't feel as good as I wanted, and it would kind of ruin the rest of the show for me. That is absolutely not the case. Before we proceed any further, so you can be very clear on what I'm talking about today, I loved the Supernatural ending. I did. I loved it. I don't love everything about some of the decisions they made over the last few episodes, but overall I am very satisfied with what they choose to do, where it went, and I would absolutely watch Supernatural again knowing that that's the ending and feel okay. So that's great. For this ending chat, I am going to include kind of the last three from Castiel's goodbye up to the very end, because those are the three true ends for me. One of the reasons being that Castiel is very, very important to me. I made that very clear in my last video. So his ending was a big ending for me and really kickstarted everything. So I need to include that in my discussion about what's going on, but we won't necessarily go any earlier than that. Even though the whole season was an ending, we're really focusing on the last 3 episodes. That's what's important to me and why I liked where they went. Since I mentioned Castiel's episode, I will start there. That was one of the big things that I was very meh on with the endings. Obviously, one, because I was very sad to lose my favorite character, and I was quite sad that he wouldn't be in the following 2 finale episodes, even though I felt he deserved it. But you can't win them all. I will say right away that I did not like, obviously, the very, very aggressive bury your gays trope that happened. Castiel confessed his love and was immediately sent to Super Mega, and I was not the biggest fan of that. Supernatural really could have done that better. I did not think that was something we would ever get at all. I thought it was beautiful. It was so emotional. Misha delivered it so amazingly, and it really truly showed us full circle where Castiel started and where he's come to. And I thought that was a very powerful thing within the ending that I didn't love so much. Castiel started out so robotic, so detached from anything human, not understanding feelings, not understanding why humans do what they do, not even truly, I think, understanding Dean at the start, obviously. He just knew him as the righteous man that had to be saved. And it showed that Castiel truly had beautiful emotions, had learned, had grown, had been part of this wonderful family and had fallen in love. And I think truly, although still an angel at that point, had become human. And I thought that was lovely and amazing. I think that was a beautiful thing to give him. I just wish he hadn't died immediately after. The ending of God was phenomenal. That is one thing that I truly, truly loved. It wasn't vicious, it wasn't gory, it wasn't some big explosion that completely destroyed the man. And that made it so much more powerful. It was so good. Just him being reduced to what he had toyed with for his entire life, basically, and being reminded now that, you know, you are nothing. No one will remember you. You are not important. And you are not God anymore. You are a speck like everything else. Like the things you so easily snapped out of existence, that is you. And I thought that was phenomenal. I honestly don't know how the God ending could have been better. I have no real critiques. I had a feeling with knowing how important Jack was to the ending of God that it would be something like Jack taking over, because as explained before in the series, you can't not have light, you can't not have darkness. I didn't know how Amara would factor into it, if she was going to be around and just be like, Jack's cool, whatever. But I knew there had to be something, so I did figure that Jack would somehow replace or take over or absorb the power or whatever. And clearly I was a little bit right, and I think that was wonderful him. I'm really pleased that Jack was so well written and taken in such a lovely way. Obviously he could have been like the Lucifer 2.0, he could have been the bad guy, but I love that he wasn't, and he became part of this family unit. Even if it took some time for Dean to like totally warm up to him, he did, and that's another one of their brothers, you know? It was so lovely. And we're shown that he makes such a wonderful God, which makes me happy. I'm so glad. He's definitely going to do a better job than Tuck. He cares about people. He's lived with humanity. He loves people. And he definitely is not into toying with people's stories. All really great things to have in a God, I think. And while I do miss our just kind of squirrely writer prophet Chuck, I loved that version of him. It was a super bold move to take God and literally make him like the ultimate bad guy. Where else has that been done? Where have we really seen that? I certainly haven't, although I'll admit I have not seen every show on the planet. So I thought that was really quite a cool move on Supernatural's part, you know? Could have risked making a lot of people angry, and maybe they did, but I thought it was a new way to do things and pretty freaking cool. So, the actual ending, the be-all end-all of Supernatural. I didn't see it coming. I knew it had to be something very, again, final, because they don't want to come back to this. The point was not to leave it open-ended so they can do something else later on. Like, this was the end of Supernatural. So it really had to close things, like I said, with Misha and his, you know, permadeath. Although I refused to buy into that. If they hadn't given me what they gave us at the very end, I was absolutely convinced and unwilling to change that. I believe Dean, once God was dealt with, would do everything he could to retrieve Castiel back from the empty, because as we've seen on Supernatural, dead people do not stay dead. So that was my truth. I chose to believe it, but they gave me something better. Supernatural, at its core, as they talked about in the little pre-interview things, was about two brothers and their relationship and love. That's what the show is about. And as much as we know that I love Castiel more than I love life, even I know at its core the show is about Sam and Dean. And I love them. They're great. They're not my faves, but I love them. So it absolutely made sense for the end of the show to be about Sam and Dean. A lot of people felt there should have been some more cameos. We should have saw more people in heaven. They should have done this. They should have done that. But the two boys being reunited, being together, and seeing them for the last time as we fade out, I think was the absolute best and most perfect way to end the show. Anything else would have felt a little less true to what the story was, which is what they were doing. They didn't write it to satisfy every fan's desire or want out of the last episode, which is why I think a lot of people dislike it, because it wasn't what they specifically wanted to see. They wrote it to match what the show always was, what the tone is, and what the core elements were, and they hit that. Having a bunch of people there, having them reunite with everyone who was dead, would have just felt like a reunion, not an ending for Sam and Dean. It's not the point. I get it. It would have been cool to see them, but it just wasn't in the cards. It wasn't what should have been there. It was honestly powerful enough just seeing Bobby, the person who became truly what was their real father, I think, and him looking out for Dean and explaining how it works and being there for him for that big important change, obviously, that Dean's going through was phenomenal, and I really think that's all we needed. We did not need any big group reunion. We've had returns and reappearances throughout the season, and they were wonderful. I didn't love everybody's ending when they went off again, but it was cool to see people again. So I truly am satisfied with how that section did. Did I love watching Dean die? No. I really didn't see it coming, but it made sense, right? Again, we have to be very final. And Dean had always wanted to die protecting people. That was his thing. He planned to go out as a hunter. He planned to go down swinging. And that's the way he did it. And finally, it was a death because it was his time, not because Chuck was manipulating him. It wasn't because Chuck had decided he wanted him to die, written it into the story, was trying to control their fate. It was just Dean's time to go. And I certainly wish he had gotten a family to stick with and love, but that wasn't in Dean's cards. It never was. Even the time with Lisa was very short. It wasn't something that I ever thought we'd get, because that wasn't who Dean was. Dean was always going to be a hunter through and through. And Sam got the ending that both he and Dean wanted for him, an ending that was beautiful. I choose to believe that his wife is Eileen. I think that's exactly who he would have gone off to find. I think it was beautiful. He got to have the little son. Although I will admit, I don't know about you guys, but I never had any clothes with my name just stretched across the front like that. I know it was so they could tell you the important plot point without having audio, but it still was just really funny to me to see the name. And as well, the old man white wig when Sam's getting into the car was really not the best thing I've ever seen. I'm sorry, and it did make me laugh. But the rest of Sam's ending I thought was really beautiful. I'm so happy he got to have that family. Obviously he misses Dean, he misses his family, but he got to have that joy and what he had always wanted and what Dean had wanted for him, and that was amazing. And then he got to join his brother, and eventually his family will join them, and Dean gets to meet them, which is something that I think is really, really beautiful. So I thought all of that was really well done, and again, very final. The boys are dead. We can't come back. That's it. They can finally rest and just be happy and be with their family. And I don't know why people are so upset with that. Again, if you are, I can't change your mind. That's not what I'm here to do. I just don't get it. I thought it was lovely. And again, we got the proof that Jack is a very good God already, and I think will continue to be. He doesn't want to meddle too much, but obviously heaven was pretty broken, and I like that he got in control of that. He fixed it. He made it better. He brought Bobby back. He brought Castiel back. That simple little nod that Castiel's out of the empty. He's a proper angel again, and he's fixing things that are broken. Was so beautiful to me. I was so happy. I feel like I'm getting teared up, and that's so silly. It has only been 2 days, guys, okay? I'm still affected. He gets to be with Jack, and I choose to believe that him and Jack will not all the time definitely drop in and see the brothers and see their family, because why wouldn't they? I think that's lovely. It was all just really good. It hurt. It was painful. I'm not gonna lie about that. but it was satisfying. And I had been really worried it wouldn't be satisfying, especially Castiel's episode. I thought I would hate the whole thing and it would be horrific. And while I definitely hate a chunk of it, it still was satisfying. You know, he died for Dean, he died for love, he protected him. We got the beautiful handprint back, which made me friggin' like lose it, but it was there. It was good. I did think the nod to like the old vampire villain in the last episode was a little weird and maybe unnecessary. I know we had been getting little cameo reappearances the whole season, that was the point, but I don't know how I was supposed to know who that was or make any type of connection unless they physically showed us, which they had to. And it just felt a little weird. I think maybe it was to help sell the tone of the episode, which was supposed to feel like the first 1 to 5 seasons. I felt it wasn't really necessary. It felt like 1 to 5 without it. So that totally didn't need to be there for me. I was super happy to see the journal again. Honestly, I teared up a bit just seeing them use it and reference their dad's case. It's been ages since we even saw that thing, so it was really special having that back for our last episode. They ended it true to what Supernatural was, what their core message was. They ended it with Sam and Dean the way it should have ended, with just them, and I think that's beautiful. And I don't think there's more we could have asked for. As I talked about, we all have our wants, our desires. We all, maybe wanted to see Castiel again, wanted to see them reunited with a group, wanted them to drive off into the sunset. We all have those own things. And there's no way for the writers and the creators to make every single person happy. It's just not possible. Overall, definitely very, very pleased with what we got. I think it was better than I expected, which is always nice. Don't want to have lower than expected. They were true to their characters, which I think is super important, and that's all I really got to say about it. It was good. I liked it. I approve, and I'll definitely rewatch Supernatural again every once in a while like I do with all my favorite shows. Right now, me and Lucy are watching through it, just picking the certain episodes we want to see. One day I'll watch them all again. But for now, I'm happy I got to finish the show with everybody. I'm happy I got to see the last episode with Steph. That was wonderful. That was the whole reason I started getting caught up again, and it was such a lovely experience for us to share. So that made me super happy. All around, I have overall very good feelings from the ending of Supernatural, even if there are a few little negatives peppered in here and there. So that's it. Feel free to let me know in the comments if you also liked the ending or if you were dissatisfied with it. If you are going to let me know that you didn't like it, you are free to tell me why. I mean, obviously I can't stop you. You can comment literally anything down there. But I'm not here to debate this. You can tell me, but I don't need you down there trying to convince me that it's not good or why it should be disliked. I like it. That's going to be the end of that. If you try and debate me, you're just going to get a little shruggy emoji in response. That's it. I'm not here to argue. But obviously you can tell me your opinion if you want, because your opinions are valid. I just am not going to change my opinion based on yours. That's it. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining me today on the second video ever that has ever been Supernatural related on my channel. I did not expect to even hit 2, so it's kind of wild. And otherwise, I'll see you all in the next video. Bye!